2017 will likely bring significant medical advancements that could change the way we connect to our bodies. Last year, headlines in the medical field included stories like the emergence of Zika, growing concerns about opioid use in America, outrage surrounding the EpiPen price hike, and the ongoing push to legalize marijuana. So what medical stories can we expect to see this year? CBS News medical contributor Dr. David Agus joins us now from Los Angeles to give us his take. David, what are you most anticipating about the medical developments that we could see in 2017?
Good morning, Dana. It's going to be an exciting year. This is the era of the quantified self, where all these devices that we have been using, the Fitbits that are measuring our heart rate and how we walk, it's going to measure many more things. And so CES is later this week, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. Some of them will be announced, and we'll see more during the year. Imagine measuring your insulin level, your sugar level through the skin. It's going to be exciting as we put context into data and learn more. Yeah, I mean, the Internet of Things really could change the way we connect to our bodies. Explain that. Well, we're going to learn about ourselves, get real-time feedback. Historically, you went to your doctor's office once a year and they gave you some feedback. But imagine getting feedback every day on what you're doing, on how you're doing. The hope is with that short feedback loop, you can change more. We can change behaviors as we know more about ourselves. Is there any fear that hacking could get involved in something like that when you talk about all the technology involved? No question. In today's world, hacking is real. The FDA yesterday announced guidelines for technologies to try to prevent hacking. And companies need to stand up and realize this is the new reality, and they need to build the walls in there so this doesn't happen and we're protected. One of the things we saw in 2016 were advancements in DNA editing techniques. What more might we see this year? Well, we have the ability through this enzyme called CRISPR of changing one of the 3 billion letters of the DNA code. And so what it means is that in utero, you can potentially change a child from having sickle cell anemia to not. In an adult with HIV, you could change the T cells, which are what HIV attacks. So HIV doesn't recognize them anymore. So the potential to affect human disease in all of us is real, and the clinical trials are ongoing now. In fact, the first food using this technology is on the shelves now in the form of a mushroom. That is amazing. Are there concerns, though? No question about it. In China, they're editing embryos. And how do you know they're not going to make it bigger, smarter, bluer-eyed, or blonder-haired? So the slippery slope is there. We need, on a global basis, to have some leadership on the ethics and responsibility involved. David, we've seen a lot of talk about drugs out there that are not being used for prescriptive purposes across the board, across the country. You think of marijuana, just other things that may be controversial. What more might we see in 2017 as it relates to them? Well, I think 2017 is going to be an era where these drugs that were used for recreational use actually have medicinal purposes. We saw recently MDMA, ecstasy, that obviously was used recreationally. Now, if you give it to someone with post-traumatic stress disorder, and these are people that for over a decade have failed multiple treatments, many of them got better and were no longer classified as PTSD. So we're going to see the rise of these drugs for medicinal purposes, which is exciting. We need more in the armamentarium to fight disease. Is it difficult, though, from just a few stories that I've done, it seems that the difficulty is in being able to do the research because of something, say, like marijuana, which is a Schedule I narcotic. Yeah. Is that sort of the barrier that stands between more use of those? Well, I think that's what's delayed their medicinal use and really learning whether they help or not for many disorders. The research is hard to do. The government still hasn't stepped up yet and changed the classification of drugs like marijuana. We need better ways to do this research because the time scale from when it was observed to potentially have a benefit to actually going to the phase 3 clinical trials is over a decade for many of them, and that's too long. Yeah, we are in that society now. We want it now. We want it to be safe, but we want it now. Dr. David Agus from Los Angeles, thank you for the updates. Thank you, Dana.